Picture a backyard on a Saturday afternoon. Somebody you know, good job, careful with money, has had a couple of drinks, and he finally says it out loud for the first time. He tells the little circle around the grill that he just crossed $250,000 in savings. And everybody smiles. Somebody claps him on the back. It feels, in that moment, like a win. Here is the part nobody warns him about. That one sentence just became the single most expensive thing he will say all year. Not because anyone standing at that grill is going to rob him. Because he just moved an invisible line in their heads and in his own about what he can afford, about who should pick up the next tab, about who he is now. And that line does not move back. My name is Ivan, and this channel is about the quiet, unglamorous way people actually get wealthy and stay that way. So let me make the claim plainly, because the whole video hangs on it. The biggest financial mistake most people make is not spending too much. It is announcing that they can. And I want to be clear about what this is not. This is not about hiding money from your spouse. It is not about lying to your accountant. It is not some paranoid story about people coming for your savings. This is about a quiet, well-documented, almost boringly predictable set of mechanisms by which being visible about money slowly destroys the growth of that money. Mechanisms you can measure in dollars. Here is the central image I want you to hold for the next 15 minutes. There is an old saying that comes out of the submarine service. Run silent, run deep. The idea is simple. A submarine is most powerful and most survivable when nobody knows where it is. It does its best work in the dark, invisible to everything on the surface. The moment it surfaces, the moment it makes a noise that lands on somebody's sonar, it stops being powerful and becomes a target. Everything that made it dangerous, the stealth, the surprise, the freedom to move, evaporates. Your savings work exactly the same way. Your money compounds in the dark. It quietly builds options you never have to explain to anyone. And the moment the wrong people see the blip on the radar, everything gets harder, more expensive, and a lot less free. Before I show you what that visibility actually costs, look at how broken the gap is between what people earn and what people keep. Here is a number that should stop you cold. As of 2025, roughly 62% of Americans report living paycheck to paycheck. Now, before you file that under low wages, look one tier up. Roughly half of people earning more than $100,000 a year say the same thing. Half of six-figure earners cannot comfortably absorb a month without a paycheck. That is not a wage problem, that is a keeping problem. They reached a certain income, they let the people around them see it, and then they had to maintain it. The polite term for this is lifestyle creep, but I have always thought that name was gentle to the point of being misleading. Creep sounds slow and harmless. What is actually happening is more like a ratchet. Every time you make a visible upgrade, the nicer car, the better apartment, the restaurant where the appetizers cost $28, you click the ratchet one notch forward. And a ratchet only turns one direction. You can add. You cannot quietly remove without friction, without somebody noticing, without a conversation you did not plan on having. You have set a floor. And that floor is not enforced by your budget. It is enforced by the people who watched you set it. Every check you grabbed, every trip you posted, every apartment your friends have now been inside. Each one is a small, unspoken contract. This is my level now. And contracts have enforcement, you just do not see it until you try to renegotiate. And notice who is holding the paperwork. It is not a bank, it is your brother-in-law, your old college friends, the couple you vacation with, your own parents. People who love you, mostly, and who are not trying to cost you a thing. They are simply doing what humans do, which is form a picture of you and then treat you according to that picture. The trouble is that a picture, once formed, is sticky. Raise it once and it stays raised. So the real price of a visible upgrade is not the upgrade. It is that you have just told a dozen people where your new floor is, and every one of them will hold you to it without ever meaning to. Let me make this a person. I am going to call him Poor Peter, and I want to be fair to him, because Peter is not stupid and he is not undisciplined. Peter is a software engineer, makes about $140,000 a year. A few years back, he gets serious, maxes his 401k, builds a real emergency fund, starts moving money into index funds every month. Boring, consistent, exactly right. And then he makes one mistake. He tells people, not obnoxiously. He is genuinely proud, first in his family to earn real money, and at a birthday dinner a couple of drinks in. He mentions he just crossed $100,000 invested. One sentence, one number. Watch the next 2 years. The group drifts towards slightly nicer restaurants. Not every time, just often enough. And Peter, who now quietly carries the label of the guy who is crushing it, never pushes back. Because pushing back feels cheap once you have announced you have money. His partner starts having a different kind of conversation about apartments. Not demanding, just different. The frame has shifted. When his parents need help with a car repair, they call Peter, not his brother, and Peter pays it. Because he is the money guy now. His submarine has surfaced. And by the end of it, Peter's net worth has barely moved. Despite 3 years of strong income and real discipline. Nobody robbed him. The identity he built out loud came with maintenance fees that never showed up on a single invoice. Here is the reversal I want you to sit with. You think the danger is that people will ask you for money. That is real, and we will get there. But it is the smaller problem. The deeper, more expensive problem is that you will give money without ever being asked. Because the identity you built in public makes yes the path of least resistance every single time. Not because you are weak. Because you are a rational person responding to a situation you accidentally designed to punish the word no. There is a Nobel Prize winner named Richard Thaler, Economics, 2017, and one of his big ideas is something called mental accounting. The gist is that we do not treat all money as the same money. We sort it into little psychological jars. And for anyone who has publicly established a financial identity, one of those jars is labeled the cost of being who I said I am. That jar does not show up in your budget. It shows up in your behavior, and it drains with the quiet patience of a bad interest rate working against you. And here is the cruel part. Sometimes you do not even get to choose when you surface. A few years into all this, Peter's father passes away, and settling the estate means the siblings have to put their finances on the table. Suddenly, Peter's number is not a thing he mentioned at a dinner. It is a documented figure sitting in front of 3 brothers and sisters who now know exactly what he is worth. Nobody schemes, nobody is cruel. But one sibling is going through a rough patch, and the ask does not even come to Peter directly. It drifts through the family in that indirect way that is somehow harder to refuse than a straight request. Peter helps. Then a cousin hears the number and reaches out with what is transparently a request for money dressed up as an investment conversation. His mother, now on her own, starts quietly assuming Peter will cover certain things because he is the one who set up, not demanding. Assuming, which is somehow harder to push back on than a demand. Inside 18 months, Peter has handed out about $65,000 in help he mostly did not plan to give. And $65,000. Left invested instead at 7% for 20 years is about $250,000. $250,000 gone, not because Peter was reckless, but because his number became visible, and a visible number is a target. Now it gets stranger, because part of this is not other people at all. It is your own head. There is a whole field economists call identity economics, going back to a landmark paper by George Akerlof and Rachel Cranton around the year 2000. The core finding is that once you publicly identify as a certain kind of person, your own behavior starts protecting that identity automatically below the level of conscious choice. So you mention your investments to a coworker once, maybe you just let it be known that you are good with money. Now, without deciding to, you start running spending through a new filter. Does this match who I said I am? Ordering the cheap option while a colleague watches feels off. Sitting out the group trip for money reasons feels off. Driving a plainer car than your circle has mentally assigned you feels off. None of it is a conscious calculation. All of it costs money. The submarine is not protecting you from other people's radar, it is protecting you from your own. Watch how small it gets. Your team goes out after work, the check lands in the middle of the table. And there is that half second where somebody has to reach for it. You reach every time because the version of you that your coworkers have in their heads is the guy who does not sweat a dinner bill. A newer colleague, 3 years younger, quietly lets it slide and nobody thinks a thing about her. She is not cheap, she is just not maintaining a reputation she never broadcast. Over a career, she reaches for that check a fraction as often as you do, and the gap between you is not talent or income. It is that you told everyone a story once, and now you pay a small tax every time you would rather not contradict it. Let me put a number on it and keep it conservative on purpose. Say you are 35, you have saved $200,000, and you have been moderately visible about doing well. Not bragging, just not a secret. A conservative estimate is that identity, consistent spending, costs you an extra $400 a month. The round of drinks you covered because it felt right. The hotel upgrade you did not fight on the group trip. The dinner you did not argue about splitting. $400 a month, invested instead at a 7% average annual return over 30 years, is roughly $488,000. Call it nearly $500,000 in compounding you simply did not receive. Not from a market crash, not from a bad pick, from telling people. And 400 is the gentle version. In a higher cost city, in a status heavy profession, it is $800 a month, and now you are staring at closer to $1 million, and the math does not care about your good intentions. Now let me correct a story you may have heard told badly, because it is the cleanest illustration of this that exists. His name was Denis Diderot, an 18th century French philosopher, one of the people who edited the very first modern encyclopedia. And in 1769, he wrote a short, self-aware essay about a dressing gown. A friend had given him a beautiful scarlet robe, the finest thing he had ever owned. And then something strange started happening. Next to the robe, his study looked shabby, so he replaced his old chair. The new chair made the desk look wrong, so the desk went. The new desk made the curtains look tired. The curtains revealed the rug was threadbare. Item by item, within a year, he had refurnished his entire study around one robe, and he had spent himself into regret over a gift that cost him nothing. He called himself the master of his old gown and the slave of the new one. 2 centuries later, an anthropologist named Grant McCracken gave this a name, the Diderot effect, in the late 1980s, and it is one of the most reliably expensive patterns in all of consumer behavior. Here is what it has to do with silence. The effect does not actually require you to be reckless. It only requires you to become visible at a new level. Once people can see your robe, your new car, your renovation, the vacation you posted, they recalibrate everything else they know about you against that new baseline, and you feel the pull to keep the whole picture consistent. One upgrade quietly expands the surface area of your life that now has to be maintained. A nicer car wants nicer everything around it. Each step up does not cost what it costs on the sticker. It costs the whole ecosystem that gets rebuilt around it. Every click of the ratchet creates a new reference point. Every reference point creates a new inconsistency. Every inconsistency creates new spending pressure, and left alone, it never reverses. You have watched this happen in real time, you just did not call it Diderot. Somebody buys a new phone, and now the case has to match, and the old headphones suddenly look embarrassing plugged into it, and the 2-year-old laptop next to it feels ancient. One purchase quietly indicts everything around it. Diderot understood the whole mechanism, described it perfectly in his own essay, and then kept doing it anyway, which tells you something about how strong the pull is. Knowing the name of the trap does not make you immune to it. Only staying off the first rung does. Now I can already hear the objection because it is sitting in the comments before I even finish the sentence. Come on, Ivan, I worked for this, I deserve nice things. Yes, completely, and here is what I actually want for you. I want you to buy the things that make your real, private, daily life genuinely better. Spend on what you actually experience. What I do not want, and what the research says will quietly cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, is spending on things as signals. Spending to update other people's mental picture of you. There is a massive difference between buying a car because you love cars and it brings you real pleasure every morning, and buying a car because your reputation now requires a vehicle that matches it. One is a genuine value, the other is Diderot's robe. And most of us, if we are honest, are doing a mix of both. The entire skill of keeping money is getting ruthlessly precise about which is which. Run silent. Run deep. The submarine does not redecorate its hull, so passing ships can admire it. Now, this is a good moment to mention the company making this video possible, because it lines up with everything we are talking about. Some of you are not just saving, you are building something on the side. A store, a few accounts, apps you are testing, small operations that need to stay clean and separate. And if you have ever tried to do that, you know the pain of buying and juggling a pile of real phones just to keep things apart. This video sponsor, GoLogin, has a new feature called Cloud Android that fixes exactly that. It gives you a full Android environment running in the cloud straight from your browser with no physical phone to buy, charge, or maintain. You can launch and run multiple Android profiles at once, and each one behaves like its own separate phone, which is perfect for marketers, agencies, e-commerce sellers, and anyone testing apps across a lot of accounts. It works with residential, mobile, and data center proxies, whether you bring your own or use the ones built in. And to get you moving, they include 2 GB of proxy traffic to start. It is available now, it is in beta, and it is free to get started. And if you use my code IVONINVESTMOBILE, you get 40% off, so if you have been meaning to try something like this, now is the moment to do it cheap. There is also a standalone version on a separate site called Farms. But the one I am pointing you to lives right inside GoLogin, and it is the first link in the description. If you manage more than one account, or you just want to test something without digging out a real phone, go try Cloud Android. Now, back to your submarine. Here is what all that silence actually buys you, and it does not get enough airtime, because it is not dramatic enough to go viral. Optionality, the plain ability to choose. Think about what money really is. People say freedom, which is true but vague. More precisely, it is negotiating power. In every situation, formal or informal. The person with the most options and the least visible need holds the leverage. That is true in a salary talk, it is true in a business deal, it is true in a quiet decision about whether you can take a risk that matters to you. The person who needs the outcome the least has the power, and visibility hands your leverage away. The moment the people around you have a rough sense of your number, they know your floor. They know what you can absorb. They know that I cannot afford that now sounds false coming from you, and when your no sounds false, you start saying yes. Because yes costs money, but no costs credibility, and you already told everyone you can afford the money. And it runs in the other direction too, into the rooms where the real money is decided. Picture 2 people up for the same raise. One of them needs it, visibly, everyone can see the lifestyle that depends on it. The other one is quietly sitting on 2 years of expenses and nobody knows. Guess which one negotiates better? Not the one who talks tougher, the one who can actually walk. When you do not need the outcome, your voice does something in a negotiation that cannot be faked, and the person across the table feels it even if they cannot name it. Need is loud. Everybody can hear need. And the quiet reserve nobody knows about is the thing that lets you stop needing, which is the thing that lets you win. So let me finally introduce you to the other man in this story, the one who did it right. I am going to call him Rich Richard. Same city as Peter, similar income, similar discipline. The only real difference is that almost nobody knows his number. His friends think he is comfortable, his family thinks he is responsible, his coworkers assume he is doing fine. Nobody has a figure. Richard drives a car that is perfectly nice and instantly forgettable. He does not post the trips, he does not mention the milestones. His submarine is fully submerged, deep and quiet, compounding in the dark where it works best. And by the time Peter and Richard are both 50, Peter has done genuinely well, real money, a solid net worth. But Richard is comfortably past $1 million, several $100,000 ahead of Peter, and it did not come from smarter investing or a lucky break. It came from one thing. Peter surfaced, Richard never did. And Richard's discipline is not dramatic, which is exactly why it works. He is not depriving himself. He genuinely does not care what his car says about him. So driving the forgettable one costs him nothing emotionally. He buys good coffee and a nice mattress and books without blinking because those are things he actually touches every day. What he does not buy is other people's approval. He never once feels the urge to have the number acknowledged because he decided a long time ago that the acknowledgement was the expensive part. So his savings just sit there, quiet and compounding, unmentioned at every dinner, and the absence of a single announcement is worth several $100,000 to him by the time it matters. And here is the part of Richard's story I want you to sit with. At 50, he gets a call about a job at a small company. Half the salary, some equity that may be worth nothing or may be worth everything. And work he actually finds meaningful. Peter cannot take that call. He has a lifestyle floor that requires his income, people calibrated to a standard, quiet commitments that all depend on him earning at his current level. Richard takes the meeting, does the math in private, looks at his submarine, deep and quiet and fully operational, and says yes. Because nobody knows what he built. Because his optionality is completely intact. That is what silence actually buys. Not austerity. The preserved ability to say yes when it matters and no when it does not, on your terms, in private, without a negotiation you never agreed to have. Now let me give you the 3 things that actually come out of this. And I want to be specific, because this is not just spend less. The first thing. Audit your visibility, not your spending. Think back over the last 12 months. What have you said, posted, implied about your financial position to the people in your regular life? What would a reasonable person guess your number is, based only on what they have seen? If the honest answer is pretty accurate, you have surfaced. You cannot unsay what is already out there, but you can stop adding data points today. No more updates. No more visible upgrades that sharpen everyone's picture of you. Let the submarine start its descent. It takes longer to sink than it did to surface, but it works. The second thing. Decouple your money milestones from your social identity. This one is genuinely hard because hitting a number feels like an achievement that deserves a witness. When you cross 100,000 for the first time, when you hit $250,000, the instinct is to tell someone. But the people best positioned to celebrate with you are the exact people who then have context on your money, which means they now have the lever. So celebrate in private. Tell your partner. Write it down somewhere that makes it real for you. The milestone is not one bit less real because you did not announce it. The compounding is not less real. The only thing missing is the applause, and the applause is the part that costs you. The third thing, and I think this is the one that actually changes how you move through the world. Build what I call the invisible floor. A liquid, accessible reserve that exists entirely outside anyone else's awareness. Not your emergency fund. People can know that exists in the abstract. This is different. This is the number you know and nobody else does. The number that means you could absorb any sudden ask, any social pressure, any unexpected opportunity without flinching and without anyone else getting a vote. Picture the person at the dinner table who could quietly cover the entire check for everyone and instead orders from the middle of the menu and says nothing. That is not cheapness. That is not insecurity. That is a submarine that knows exactly where it is and simply chooses not to ping. The option in that moment is worth more than the check. And the only way to hold it is to be the one person in the room who knows the real number. And the strange thing about that floor is that its value has almost nothing to do with spending it. You may never touch it. That is the point. It works entirely by existing. It changes how you sit in a meeting, how you answer when someone floats an opportunity, how long you are willing to wait for the right thing instead of grabbing the first thing. A person with an invisible floor makes slower, better, calmer decisions across their entire life, and everyone around them reads that calm as confidence or luck or personality when really it is just a number quietly doing its job in the dark. So what did Peter do once he understood all this? To his credit, he stopped. He stopped narrating his finances at group dinners. He stopped announcing milestones. He kept helping the people he genuinely wanted to help, but on his terms, at amounts he decided, without a shared ledger anyone could point to. He let the number go quiet again. And slowly, the leak sealed. The compounding came back. Because compounding always comes back the moment you stop paying the visibility tax. And I want you to notice something, because it is the reason this feels so unnatural. Every system around you is engineered to make your wealth visible. Credit card rewards exist to get you spending and signaling. The luxury industry is built entirely on the value of display. Social media is, at its core, a wealth visibility machine. A platform designed to get you broadcasting your consumption so it can sell your aspiration back to you. None of these are neutral. They are enormous, well-funded incentive engines pointed straight at your psychology. So the fact that keeping money quiet feels slightly awkward, slightly antisocial, that feeling was manufactured. And once you see that, the discomfort stops being a signal to change course and becomes a signal that you are doing it right. Think about how much money is spent every year for the sole purpose of being seen spending it. The badge on the car that the driver will never open the hood of. The logo on the bag that costs 10 times the plain one that holds exactly the same things. None of it is bought for use. It is bought for the signal, and the signal only pays if other people receive it. The whole machine runs on your willingness to broadcast. So the quietest possible act of rebellion, and it happens to be the most profitable one, is to simply stop transmitting. Keep the money. Skip the signal. Let them guess. In naval engineering, there is a term, the acoustic signature. The unique noise a submarine makes that lets the world detect it. Modern submarines are designed above almost everything else to reduce that signature, not to go faster, to go quieter. Because quiet is survival. Your financial acoustic signature is what you broadcast, what you signal, what you let the people around you measure you against. That is the real thing you are managing when you practice financial silence. Not the money, the sound the money makes. And in a world where everyone is broadcasting everything, running silent is not caution. It is an edge. Maybe the last real one, because it is the only advantage that gets stronger the fewer people know you have it. One last thing, and then I will let you go. Do one thing this week. Pick the number you are proudest of, the one you most want to tell someone, and tell no one. Not out of shame and not out of fear, out of strategy. Let the win be yours and yours alone, and let it compound in the dark where it does its best work. Run silent. Run deep.